This is the human I want as my husband, Mom." The alien princess pointed at the human. The grand hall of Zithra's royal palace shimmered with colors that no human eye could fully describe. Light bent and danced around crystalline walls, casting prismatic patterns on every surface. Humans had never seen anything like it. For Ethan Carter, stepping into this alien world was like walking into a dream, though his mind raced to absorb every detail. He had been chosen as one of the Earth delegates for a diplomatic visit, yet nothing in his life as a scientist could have prepared him for the dizzying splendor of the alien court. Ethan moved cautiously among the throng of Zitharan nobles, keeping a polite distance while trying not to appear out of place. Each Zitharan was taller than a human, with lithe bodies, elongated limbs, and eyes that seemed to shimmer with knowledge beyond human understanding. Their clothing was a fluid mix of metallic fabrics and living bioluminescent patterns, constantly shifting to reflect mood or rank. Conversations flowed in a melodic language that Ethan could barely recognize, though translators made it understandable. He had barely taken a step when a voice rang out across the hall, clear and confident. "This is the human I want as my husband, Mom." The alien princess, Liara, was known for her intelligence and strong will. She was not easily impressed by status or wealth, and her declaration sent shockwaves through the assembly. Her mother, the Empress, stood behind her with an expression of pure astonishment, one eyebrow arched. "Liara," she said, her voice measured but icy, "you do realize that humans are different. Not suited for our ways, not suited for our trials." He was no hero, yet somehow this princess had seen something in him that others had missed. The Empress's gaze swept over him, sharp and calculating. "And you, human, are you prepared to face our trials to prove that you are worthy of my daughter's choice?" "I will do my best," he said simply. His voice was calm, steady, and honest, qualities that seemed rare among the alien court. A murmur ran through the room. No human had ever stood before the Empress in such a manner. The alien courtiers exchanged glances filled with disbelief and skepticism. The Empress leaned back slightly. "Very well. He shall undergo the trial of worthiness. If he succeeds, he may be considered for your hand. But be warned, these trials are not for the faint of heart." Walls flowed as if alive, and the bed adjusted perfectly to his shape, providing comfort he had never known. Yet sleep was impossible. His mind raced with questions about what awaited him. The trial of worthiness, he had heard, tested intelligence, courage, and moral character, and it was designed to challenge anyone, alien or human, beyond anything they had faced before. Morning arrived with a soft glow, filling the palace with a serene yet alien light. Ethan was escorted to the trial chamber, a massive hall filled with floating platforms, shifting walls, and strange devices that seemed to move with a mind of their own. At the center stood Liara, watching him with keen interest, and the Empress, seated on a raised dais, her expression unreadable. The first challenge appeared without warning. A massive puzzle of glowing orbs floated before him, each pulsing with energy. The objective was unclear, yet he instinctively reached out, touching one of the orbs. It responded, lighting up and sending a ripple through the other orbs. Ethan realized that the puzzle was responsive, interactive. He studied the patterns carefully, moving slowly at first, then with growing confidence. Hours seemed to pass as he experimented, made mistakes, corrected them, and gradually discovered the rhythm of the puzzle. Spectators watched silently. Even Liara leaned forward, intrigued. She whispered to a nearby aide, "He sees patterns others do not. His mind is different, yet precise." Liara clapped softly, her violet eyes shining. "Impressive," she said simply. Ethan barely had time to catch his breath when the next trial began. This one tested courage. A simulated environment projected around him transformed the chamber into a landscape filled with danger, high cliffs, unstable terrain, and creatures that seemed both real and terrifying. He had to retrieve a crystal from the peak of a jagged mountain while avoiding traps. The challenge was unlike anything he had encountered. Every instinct screamed caution, yet he knew hesitation could cost him. Step by step, he navigated the treacherous paths, his mind analyzing every movement. When a trap activated, a net shooting from the cliffside, he dodged instinctively, using momentum and balance he had learned in rock climbing years ago. A monstrous creature appeared, simulated yet terrifyingly lifelike, blocking his path. Ethan's heart pounded. Most humans would have frozen, but he remembered the lessons of logic and observation. He noted the creature's patterns, its predictable movements, and carefully timed his approach. With a bold leap and careful maneuvering, he reached the crystal, grasping it triumphantly. The trial ended and the simulation faded. Ethan was safe, breathing heavily but unbroken. Whispers of admiration floated through the chamber. Liara's smile widened. "That is exactly why I chose him," she said softly to no one in particular. The final trial tested moral character. Ethan was presented with a scenario where two groups of Zitharans were in danger, each requiring his immediate attention. He could save only one. Many would panic, many would guess, yet he paused, considering every option. Then he devised a solution. Using the knowledge he had gained from observing the environment, he manipulated the devices in the chamber to create a path to save both groups simultaneously. The chamber fell silent. No human had attempted such a solution before. Even some of the alien advisors looked at him with a mixture of awe and suspicion. The Empress finally spoke, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of judgment. "You have passed the trials in a way no one anticipated. It is clear that your mind, courage, and morality are extraordinary human. You have my attention. Not because he is human, but because he is remarkable in ways we could never have imagined." Yet he also felt a quiet pride, not arrogance, but the calm realization that human qualities, even in an alien world, could shine brightly. The court erupted in murmurs, some approving, some doubtful. Ethan's heart raced, not from fear but from excitement. He had faced challenges he could never have imagined, and he had succeeded. More importantly, he had earned the respect of beings far beyond Earth's understanding. Liara approached him, her hand outstretched. "Come with me," she said, her voice warm. "There is much to show you, much to learn, and perhaps much to build together." He was a human in a world of alien wonders, and already he had proven that courage, intelligence, and morality were universal languages, languages that even the most advanced civilizations could understand. As they walked through the halls, whispers followed them. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, and yet here was one standing beside the princess, ready to shape not only her world, but perhaps the course of the galaxy itself. Ethan knew that the trials were only the start. The path ahead would be filled with challenges, dangers, and mysteries beyond imagination. But for the first time, he felt the undeniable truth that humans, no matter how small in the cosmic scale, had a place and a voice among the stars. Liara led him to a balcony overlooking the city, a dazzling expanse of alien architecture and glowing rivers. "This is Zithra," she said softly. "And soon you will understand why I chose you." And for the first time, he felt that strength could change worlds. The morning sun of Zithra shimmered like liquid silver over the crystalline city, reflecting off towers and bridges in patterns that made Ethan blink in amazement. The palace courtyard was alive with motion, as nobles and advisors prepared the next set of trials for the human who had stunned the court. Ethan walked beside Princess Liara, still absorbing the events of the previous day. He had passed the trial of worthiness in ways that no alien had anticipated, yet he knew the challenges ahead would be even more demanding. Liara led him to a quiet garden filled with alien flora. Some plants pulsed with soft light, while others floated gently above the ground. Birds with translucent wings chirped melodies that harmonized with the glowing atmosphere. Ethan's mind raced, trying to take in the beauty, yet he also knew that this garden, as serene as it appeared, was part of his next test, understanding Zitharan culture. Humans see the world differently, Liara said, sensing his thoughts. That is why I chose you. But knowing our history and ways is part of proving your worth. You must learn, not just survive. Unlike humans, Zitherans valued harmony, collective decision-making, and subtle communication through gestures, light patterns, and tonal changes. One wrong move could offend high-ranking nobles or upset delicate diplomatic balances. Liara guided Ethan through a series of social interactions, explaining the meanings behind even the smallest actions. A hand gesture that seemed friendly to a human could be an insult to a Zitharan elder. A pause in speech could convey distrust, and a too bold statement could seem aggressive. Ethan struggled at first, frowning as he attempted to match gestures and tones. He stumbled, hesitated, and once even bowed too deeply, drawing polite but concerned glances from nearby observers. Liara's laughter, soft and melodic, broke his tension. Do not worry. Humans are not expected to be perfect immediately, but your willingness to try to learn is what matters most. Ethan quickly realized that his scientific training, which taught him to observe, analyze, and adapt, gave him an unexpected advantage. Within hours, he could navigate conversations and ceremonies with surprising finesse, earning nods from advisors who had doubted his abilities. The next challenge involved understanding Zitharan technology. Liara led him to a chamber filled with floating devices, energy streams, and machinery that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Humans had created complex machines, but Zitharan devices were almost alive, responding to thought patterns, emotional states, and intention. You must control this machine to complete a task, Liara explained. Most cannot do it. They react, they try to force control. You must understand it first. Slowly, he began to manipulate the device, using a combination of logic, intuition, and calm focus. Minutes passed, then an hour. The room, once filled with tense watchers, became quiet as Ethan achieved what no other guest could. He synchronized with the machine completely, completing the task efficiently and elegantly. The device glowed warmly, as if acknowledging his success. Liara's eyes sparkled with pride. You see things differently, she said. That is why humans are remarkable. You do not just react, you understand and then act. That is something even our best minds struggle with. The court had constructed a simulated environment, a sprawling maze filled with illusions, traps, and moral dilemmas. Ethan had to navigate it, make quick decisions, and protect others who were part of the simulation. As he entered the maze, Ethan felt his heart rate increase, but he did not panic. He observed carefully, noting patterns in the illusions and recognizing when dangers were real or simulated. He guided simulated Zitharans through obstacles, sometimes using creative solutions that the designers of the trial had not anticipated. In one section, a bridge collapsed under weight, threatening the lives of several Zitharan children in the simulation. Ethan's mind raced. He scanned the surroundings, spotted a floating energy platform nearby, and calculated the angle and momentum needed to swing it into place as a temporary bridge. He acted without hesitation, saving everyone. By the end of the maze, Ethan was exhausted but triumphant. Liara awaited him, her expression a mix of amazement and pride. You think clearly under pressure, she said softly. That is rare, that is human strength. The final challenge of the day involved diplomacy. The Empress called forth representatives from a neighboring system, each with their own motives and agendas. Ethan had to negotiate a complex trade and alliance scenario, balancing conflicting interests while maintaining fairness and respect. At first, the aliens underestimated him, expecting hesitation or error. Ethan calmly listened, asked thoughtful questions, and proposed creative solutions that respected Zitharan values while also introducing practical benefits for all parties. He found common ground where others had assumed conflict was inevitable, and he presented options that satisfied multiple interests simultaneously. By the end, the representatives expressed satisfaction and gratitude, and the court murmured approval. Liara's smile was radiant. "See, Mother," she said, her voice carrying across the hall. "He is not just clever, he inspires cooperation. Humans are not just survivors. They bring solutions where others see only problems. It is clear that your mind, courage, and judgment are exceptional human. You may have passed these trials, but the ultimate test will always be time and action. Your choices will define not only yourself, but the respect of your people and ours." He had proven himself in the short term, yet he understood that living and thriving in this world required constant learning, adaptation, and courage. The lessons of the day had been rigorous, yet he felt a growing sense of confidence. Humans had strengths that no one could ignore: creativity, empathy, and the ability to think beyond rigid systems. That evening, Liara took him on a walk through the city. They passed towers that twisted like ribbons, bridges that floated without support, and rivers of glowing liquid that reflected the alien night sky. Despite the strangeness, Ethan felt a sense of belonging. He realized that while humans were small in the vast cosmos, their ability to adapt and innovate made them formidable in ways aliens often did not recognize. "You have learned quickly," Liara said, breaking his thoughts. "But more importantly, you have not just adapted, you have improved the world around you. That is why I chose you. Your people's wisdom is incredible. I only hope I can honor that trust. That is something we need." The universe was vast, full of challenges that no one could predict, but for the first time he felt ready. Humans were underestimated, yes, but he had proven that intelligence, bravery, and morality were universal qualities, recognized even by the most advanced alien civilizations. And beside him, Liara, the princess who had defied tradition and chosen him, walked with quiet confidence, showing him that sometimes belief in one another could change worlds. As they returned to the palace, Ethan felt a quiet pride. He was a human on an alien planet, facing trials no one expected him to pass. And yet he had done so not by being the strongest or the fastest, but by being himself, thoughtful, brave, and determined. The court may watch, may doubt, may judge. But for the first time, Ethan understood that being human was enough, and sometimes more than enough, to leave a lasting mark on the stars. Liara looked at him, her eyes shining. "Tomorrow we face new trials," she said softly. "Challenges that will test not just your skills, but your character. Are you ready?" The sun rose over Zithra with a brilliance that made the crystalline towers glitter like a sea of stars. For Ethan Carter, the beauty of the city no longer felt alien. After days of trials, he had begun to understand not only the rules of the court, but also the heartbeat of the planet itself. Yet there was little time to admire the scenery. A new challenge approached, unlike anything he had faced before. Reports had arrived from the outer regions of Zithra's territory. A rival alien empire, known for its aggression and cunning, had detected the human presence in the palace. They perceived it as a weakness, an opportunity to destabilize the planet. Their fleet moved swiftly, threatening the border systems and causing panic among the advisors. Liara met Ethan in the strategy chamber, a vast room filled with holographic star maps, floating models of fleets, and walls that shimmered with data. Her violet eyes were intense. "This is more than a trial," she said. "This is real. Our people are in danger. I need your help, Ethan. Your human perspective could make the difference." Humans had survived countless challenges on their home planet, and now that ingenuity would be tested among the stars. The Council had already formed their initial defense plans, but they relied heavily on standard tactics and assumptions. Ethan studied the holographic fleet positions and noticed patterns the Zithran commanders had overlooked. "If we assume they will attack directly, we can trap them," he said. "But if we predict their deception and plan a counter, we can protect our borders and even force a retreat. I think they'll try a diversion, attacking weaker systems to draw our forces away from the main fleet. If we anticipate this, we can set a trap. Our ships can strike where they are most vulnerable, and we can protect our colonies without losing ground." Yet Liara's faith in him never wavered. "We will follow his plan," she said firmly. "It is bold, but humans often see what others miss." He suggested using energy decoys, creating false signals that would mislead the enemy, and employing maneuver tactics that mirrored human naval tactics but adapted to Zitharan technology. As night fell, the enemy fleet approached. The skies above Zithara lit up with ships that moved like liquid fire, shimmering in the alien atmosphere. Panic threatened to take hold, but Ethan's calm presence reassured everyone. He coordinated attacks, analyzed enemy responses in real time, and adjusted strategies with precision. The first wave of the enemy fleet attempted a direct assault. Ethan's predictions held true. The ships moved exactly as he anticipated. Zitharan defenses struck with perfect timing, neutralizing the initial attack with minimal damage. Yet the enemy was not defeated. They launched a second, more cunning attack, using cloaked ships to slip past defenses. Ethan's mind raced. He recalled Earth's strategies of deception and countermeasures. "We need to bait them," he said. "Allow them to take what seems like a victory, then cut off their escape route. We can force surrender without massive losses." Then, at the precise moment, the ambush activated. Traps closed, fleets surrounded them, and the enemy found themselves caught. Victory was swift. The Zitharan forces celebrated, amazed at how efficiently the human had predicted and countered the enemy's strategy. Liara's face glowed with pride. "You did it," she said. "Not just with courage or knowledge, but with vision. You see connections we overlook." It was not arrogance that drove him, but a sense of duty. His goal was simple: protect lives, solve problems, and bridge the gap between human and Zitharan understanding. And in doing so, he had earned a respect that few humans had ever experienced beyond Earth. In the aftermath, Liara and Ethan walked through the palace gardens. The air was filled with the fragrance of glowing alien flowers, the soft hum of floating plants, and the distant celebrations of the court. "Your actions have changed more than this battle," Liara said. "You have shown our people that humans are not weak, not naive. They are capable of greatness, in ways we often underestimate. And perhaps one day, humans and Zitharans can face the stars together, not as strangers but as partners." It was an opportunity to show the court that humans could contribute to Zithara in ways beyond raw intellect or bravery. The display involved collaboration with Zitharan trainees. Ethan quickly observed that their methods, though precise, were rigid. He encouraged them to adapt, suggesting creative solutions to complex problems. Together, they completed tasks that had previously been considered impossible, from repairing intricate energy devices to navigating simulated disasters. The court watched in astonishment. Where they had expected chaos or failure, they saw cooperation, innovation, and leadership. Humans, through Ethan, demonstrated qualities that transcended species. Courage, creativity, empathy, and teamwork became tangible proof that humans could be more than outsiders. They could be leaders, thinkers, and innovators. Liara approached Ethan as the event concluded. "You have done more than survive our trials," she said. "You have inspired change, shown that human strengths can uplift even the most advanced civilizations." He had begun as a stranger on an alien world, uncertain and cautious, yet through observation, intelligence, and empathy, he had earned trust and respect. Humanity, he realized, was more than physical strength or technology. It was the ability to adapt, to care, and to think in ways that others could not anticipate. That evening, the Empress called him into her private chambers. She regarded him carefully, her expression unreadable at first. "You have passed challenges that no human or alien could have anticipated. You have proven courage, intellect, and moral strength. It is clear that your presence here changes perspectives, not only about yourself but about your people. I only wish to serve and protect your people to the best of my ability. I expect that to continue." The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and wonders, yet humans had proven themselves adaptable, clever, and courageous. Their strength was not in weapons or numbers, but in ingenuity, empathy, and determination. The stars above Zithra twinkled as if reflecting his thoughts. Humans, though young and small in the cosmic scale, had the power to influence worlds, to inspire change, and to forge alliances that no one expected. And beside him, Liara, the princess who had defied tradition to choose him, stood as a reminder that sometimes belief in one another could rewrite destinies. Ethan looked at the horizon and felt a quiet but powerful truth settle within him. Humanity, underestimated for centuries, was capable of greatness that transcended planets and species. And this was only the beginning. The palace of Zithra was quiet as the first light of dawn crept across its crystalline towers. Ethan Carter stood at the balcony, looking out over the city that had become so familiar in just a few days. The victories of the past trials and battles were behind him, yet a sense of anticipation lingered. The final challenge loomed, one that would not only test his mind and courage but would define the future of both humans and Zitharans. Liara approached, her violet eyes glowing softly in the morning light. "The Empress has summoned you," she said. "Today you will face the ultimate test, not just skill but leadership, morality, and vision. Are you ready?" "I am ready," he said simply. The council chamber was filled with representatives from all corners of Zithra. The Empress sat at the center, her gaze stern yet expectant. Ethan bowed respectfully, aware of the weight of the moment. The Empress spoke, her voice carrying across the hall. "Human, you have proven courage, intellect, and moral strength. But a ruler, a partner, must demonstrate more than personal ability. You must show that you can inspire, guide, and unite our people and allies under conditions of great uncertainty. Your final trial begins now." Simulations of political, environmental, and military crises played out in rapid succession. Each scenario was complex and intertwined, testing not only Ethan's problem-solving skills but his empathy, judgment, and ability to act under pressure. The first scenario involved a natural disaster, a massive storm approaching a densely populated city. Ethan quickly assessed the situation, understanding that panic and rushed decisions would worsen the crisis. He devised a plan using Zitharan emergency protocols and his own knowledge of logistics, guiding evacuation teams to safety while coordinating support for the injured. His decisions saved countless lives in the simulation, earning nods from observers. Next came a diplomatic crisis. Two neighboring systems had long-standing tensions, and the simulation presented a dispute that could escalate into war. Ethan listened carefully, noting each side's concerns and motivations. He proposed a solution that acknowledged their needs while finding common ground, presenting options that allowed both sides to save face. The aliens watching were impressed, not only by his logic but by his ability to navigate the delicate balance of trust and respect. Then came a test of morality. Ethan was faced with a choice: prioritize the immediate safety of a large group or save a smaller group whose survival had long-term significance for the future of multiple systems. The decision weighed heavily on him, yet he drew upon his previous experiences, using creativity and foresight to find a solution that protected both groups. By using available resources and thinking outside conventional methods, he ensured no one suffered unnecessarily. Throughout the simulations, Ethan demonstrated something rare among the aliens: a combination of intellect, empathy, courage, and innovation. He approached problems not as rigid tasks to complete, but as puzzles intertwined with people's lives, emotions, and potential. His solutions were elegant, humane, and effective, qualities that even the most advanced Zitharan minds admired. Liara watched closely, pride evident in her expression. "See, Mother," she whispered to the Empress. "He is more than a visitor. He embodies what we strive for: wisdom, courage, and heart. Humans are not only capable, they can inspire greatness in others." A simulated enemy fleet appeared on the holographic display, much larger and more advanced than anything Ethan had faced before. The simulation challenged him to defend Zithra while minimizing casualties and maintaining alliances. Unlike previous tests, this one combined every element he had encountered: strategy, diplomacy, moral judgment, and leadership. Ethan studied the projection, analyzing every angle. He noted patterns in the simulated enemy's behavior and potential weaknesses. Using lessons from prior trials and his human perspective, he devised a multifaceted approach. He instructed Zitharan commanders to feign vulnerability in one sector, lure the enemy into a trap, and use newly adapted defensive technologies to protect civilian areas. At the same time, he addressed diplomatic concerns. He coordinated with neighboring systems, offering support and forming alliances that strengthened Zithara's position. When ethical dilemmas arose, situations where sacrificing one group could save another, he found creative solutions that minimized loss while maximizing protection. Hours passed in the simulation, yet Ethan remained calm and focused. His actions were precise, compassionate, and decisive. When the final scenario concluded, the holograms dissipated, leaving a silent chamber. Ethan looked around, exhausted but confident. He had faced the ultimate test and guided Zithara through crises that seemed insurmountable. The Empress rose, her expression softened by admiration. "Human, you have proven what no one expected. Your courage, wisdom, and heart have saved not only simulations but the trust and respect of our people. You have demonstrated leadership, empathy, and vision that transcend species. You have earned the honor of standing beside my daughter." "I chose you because I saw what you could be," she said, her voice steady. "Today, the court sees it too. You are worthy, not because you are human, but because of who you are and what you bring to the world." Where aliens once doubted, they now saw value in human courage, creativity, and morality. Ethan bowed respectfully to the Empress. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I will do my best to serve Zithra, your daughter, and your people." It is not perfection that matters, but the willingness to act with courage, intelligence, and compassion. You have shown all three, and that is the mark of greatness. Humans and Zitharans alike marveled at the union of courage, intellect, and compassion that he represented. Music and lights filled the palace halls, and the city outside glowed in patterns of joy and unity. Ethan found himself surrounded by beings who had once seen humans as strangers or inferior, yet now looked upon him with respect and admiration. In a quiet moment, Liara led him to the palace balcony overlooking the sparkling city. Twin moons reflected in the rivers below, casting silver light over the glowing towers. "You see, Ethan," she said softly, "this is only the beginning. Together, humans and Zitharans can face challenges no one imagined, achieve goals no one thought possible, and inspire others to see beyond fear or prejudice." He had begun as a visitor, uncertain and cautious, yet he had become a symbol, a reminder that humanity, though small in the vastness of space, possessed qualities that could change worlds: courage, ingenuity, empathy, and vision. "Humans are not perfect," Ethan said quietly. "But we learn, we adapt, and we fight for what is right. That is what makes us strong. That is what makes us valuable." He had faced trials, danger, and skepticism, and had emerged not only victorious but respected, admired, and trusted. The stars above Zithara twinkled, as if acknowledging the truth Ethan had come to understand. Humans, underestimated for centuries, were capable of greatness that could inspire civilizations. And together with Liara and the people of Zithara, they would face the future boldly, building a legacy that celebrated courage, intelligence, and compassion across the stars. Ethan looked down at the city, then back at Liara. "This is only the beginning," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "Yes," Liara replied, her eyes shining. "And I cannot imagine anyone better to face it with than you." A single human with courage, intelligence, and heart had proven that the universe was large enough for both species, and that together they could achieve greatness beyond imagination. And so, the human who had once been a stranger to an alien world became a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and HFY spirit. He had faced the trials, the battles, and the doubts, and emerged not just as a survivor, but as a hero, a partner, and a bridge between worlds. The night sky above Zithra sparkled with promise, and the story of humanity's triumph had only just begun.